Good morning, thanks for popping in. So what we've got here today is a Cub Cadet mower. The owner had thought that it had ran out of oil and locked up. That has sat for a couple years into a shed, so had some mouse activity. There's a nest I found. So the idea of this one is to first qualify to see if this engine is savable. So I'm going to check over everything and we're going to get this thing running and see what parts it's going to need, and then you'll see the final result. So thanks for checking in today. As you can see, this thing sat for a little while and she's got some activity here of mouse living in here and things like that, so I needed to tear into it and see how far the damage went. Bad thing about mice is when they get in here, they like to chew on wires because it's made with soybean oil, and you know, they'll urinate in the bedding and it'll turn the aluminum white from the oxidation. So you just need to clean everything up really good and check for damage. And so that's really all I'm doing here. Ideally, you know, I'm checking, make sure the engine's not locked up from sitting so long, and you know, I'm going to do a leak down test, and I have another video that'll show you that. But really, we're just trying to do as little as possible required to get this motor to run, to really see if it's worth saving. So fortunately, this one turned out great, and you'll see the final result. Got marginal leak. It's not bad. 40%. Mouse damage you can see here. See this wire here that's all chewed up and fried? That comes down, supplied up from the key switch through probably some sort of safety interlock if I looked into it. But ultimately all it does is your fuel shut off, your carburetor here. So you see we've got a ground lead which is tucked back in here. Usually goes up somewhere on the block. Your hot lead here. So basically without a hot lead, it's not going to let fuel in your carburetor and this is not going to run. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to supply the circuit with 12 volts just down here using the jumper lead. Probably going to do the hot lead off the starter. See if we can get it to run. So this engine hasn't ran in a couple years, so I've got some temporary fixes. I've done strip it back and put a little bitty connector on here and just split a fuel line to keep it from shorting on here. So I'll make sure I've got good ignition. That should be fine. Secondly, what I've got to deal with now after verifying the leak down, this fuel is also 2 to 3 years old. So I'm going to have to drain the fuel that's in this bowl, if any, and I might even have to clean out this carb first before we get to start. I mean, right now, I could probably just put some battery charge on this and shoot some juice in here, but if I can, I don't want anything that's in that bowl get sucked up into the carburetor if it hasn't already. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off of here, see if I can get any fuel to drain out of here. It's probably all evaporated, nothing but gel, but I'm going to try that first before running a separate fuel IV line to this, because I'm not going to drain all of this right now and fill it up with fresh fuel without knowing everything's good to go. So all I'll do is I'll disconnect from here and I'll run a little auxiliary fuel tank that's just going to go in the fuel line right after the carburetor. Yeah, so we'll get there. Let you know how it goes. I didn't get a chance to show you, but I did in fact drain the fuel tank. There wasn't a whole lot to it once I took the filter off. I didn't have any pliers on me to stop the draining, so I emptied it out into a tank. I hadn't cleaned the carburetor. I didn't get a video of that one. I was just trying to get this one done. But after cleaning the carburetor, getting rid of some mild gel and things in there, some fresh fuel, she actually fires right up with the temporary patches I made. So you'll get to see proof of life here.
Ain't got no gas in it.
a few parts later.
So I ended up replacing the coil pack with a whole new wire, which you didn't get a picture of, and set the gap. New air filter element, cleaned everything off, put a better oil drain system on here and installed it. New blades, and got everything all freshened up, so it runs great now.